In Africa, when the concept of witchcraft is discussed, people imagine people just gathering inside a tree, planning evil and plotting evil. And in the West, the concept of witchcraft, people just think of someone wearing a funny hat, carrying a broomstick, and that's all about witchcraft. But do you know something? Witchcraft is closer than we can ever imagine. I'll tell you how after this time out. In the last video, I talked about something bad I did. Something bad. In fact, it was a confession. But what I didn't talk about was that I did not deal with that issue. And so later, that issue came up. Okay, but before I talk about that, let me just give a story. There's someone I know, a schoolmate of mine. One time she came to my house and she was so animated, she was so agitated. So I asked her what was going on, and she told me that someone that came to live with her to help her with the household chores was a witch. And I wondered, like, how do you know she's a witch? Well, if you don't live in this part of the world in Africa, it's something that is commonly discussed. People will go for programs and they will deliver them, and at the end of the day, the person will confess to be a witch and all that. So anyway, she now told me that this house help was a witch, and I said, how did you know? And she said she took this house girl to a prophet, this house help to a prophet, and the prophet now did one or two things, and she confessed that this is what she is, that in fact she was initiated through eating something, and that she has actually unalived somebody. Yes, this person I'm talking about is a non-adult. Yes, she's less than 18. Is a non-adult I'm talking about. So she confessed to her that she has unalived somebody that annoyed her, and that she flies from place to place at night and all that. So this my schoolmate was so agitated. But I noticed something. While she was narrating the story, I did not react over. I was not just moved like that. So she was wondering that I'm telling you something. Why are you not like agitated? Why are you not afraid? Or why are you not wondering and all that? In fact, she had to send this house help away. She sent her away. It was someone that she wanted to take into her house to train because she had only male offspring. She thought she could now take this person as a female offspring. But when this thing was exposed, she decided to get rid of the house help. So she was now wondering why I wasn't overtly excited or animated like she was. And I was wondering myself, I said, why was I not so excited? Why was I not so agitated? Or she told me something that was so dramatic. So the natural reaction would have been for me to be dramatic like she was, but I wasn't. So when she left, I was now pondering as I was having this conversation. As I was having this conversation with God in my heart, and God was now telling me that, do you know that in this form of witchcraft, that is the least. Now, what I'm going to say is very subjective. Sometimes I'm not so you. I don't. Sometimes I don't want to say God told me this and God told me that, because people have abused it a lot. That terminology. They've said all manner of things that God told them. So whatever I'm going to tell you is subjective. So whatever I'm going to tell you, please, you have to read your Bible by yourself to be sure that what I'm saying is right. And do not take anything that you don't feel comfortable about taking. It's just my experience. And like everybody, I can make a mistake, but I just want to share the experience, what God told me. And God now told me that witchcraft, that kind of witchcraft was the least, that there is a deeper witchcraft that many people have. And I was wondering, and at that time, I was in a situation where I was having this feelings of animosity for a friend. I was having these feelings of animosity for a friend. I didn't know, there was no reason why it was showing up, and I was wondering how. Well, and these are the feelings I was getting. It's not the one I talked about previously. This is a new something that happened like 5, 6 years ago. I was having this animosity feeling of animosity for somebody that was very nice to me. She did not do anything to me, but for some reason I was feeling very angry with her, very jealous and very bitter. And God now exposed to me that why it was happening was because I was not, I thought, sometimes when like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I should, like when Mary and Elizabeth, Mary got pregnant and she was now instructed, or she now felt she had to see Elizabeth. So she went to see Elizabeth for a reason. It wasn't just to gossip or because Elizabeth was her cousin. There was something divinely arranged about that. That was why she went to see Elizabeth. So God was now telling me that sometimes we, what we call friendships, we should be very careful. Sometimes some people are not meant to be our friends. We are meant to be with them for a season, for a purpose. Like that particular person I was feeling bitter and angry towards, I was supposed to meet her, but we're not supposed to be friends. There was something that we're supposed to do together. I would say more like for the kingdom of God. Please, if you hear any sound in the background, please ignore it. I'm in a very new noisy area. But so it wasn't like we're supposed to be friends, but I assumed that we're supposed to be friends, and that's why those feelings came up. They were feelings of bitterness, they were feelings of animosity. For example, if Mary had gone to see Elizabeth and maybe decided to stay for 2 years, or to now involve herself in some other family affair that was not directly related to her giving birth to Jesus and her interacting with Elizabeth, who already had John, who was also pregnant for John. It would have, if she had gone at another time. So when it comes to friendships, purpose is very important. When it comes to any aspect of your life, I keep on emphasizing it. Your purpose is very important. Sometimes you see friends getting jealous of one another. You see spouses not really having a good relationship because their friendship or the marriage was not as a result of something, a purpose that they were supposed to fulfill, a purpose that had been given to them. So God now made it clear to me that why I was feeling bitter and jealous was that I had gone beyond the boundary of how I was supposed to associate with that person, and I was now seeing her in another light that was not part of my purpose. He now made me realize that that was how those feelings of jealousy and bitterness comes up. Now, when I talk about witchcraft, people just assume. So what God was telling me was that what I was, if I wasn't careful, what I was harboring would now evolve to a certain kind of witchcraft. That is how things happen. Sometimes you could just feel like you are jealous of somebody, and you just take it as normal. No, when you have those feelings of jealousy or bitterness, please, or you want to manipulate people, please make sure that you don't just I don't know, you don't coddle it. When there's some, that's one thing about me. If I have a character that I feel is bad, or there's something that people say about me, I just quickly accept it. For example, people say I'm not exactly friendly, and that's true. Yes, I'm on social media now, I'm talking, but I'm not a very friendly person. I'm polite, but I'm not friendly. I'm not the person that you see and you want to be my friend immediately. You won't see me in a place and I'll be the one talking the most. I talk when I'm with people I'm close to in the house or environment, but outside, like, for example, my neighbors would say, they would describe me as unfriendly. So if someone says I'm unfriendly or I'm not very friendly, I will not deny it. First of all, is to admit that there's something in you that is not the way you should be. For example, when you are jealous of somebody, instead of admitting it, you now say, no, I'm not jealous, or you try to pretend that the person did something to you. Do you know one thing about jealousy? If you don't curtail it, if you don't tame it, you will now want to feel that that person did something to you, or you will cook up something the person did. The person may just do something that is not such a big deal, but because you're already harboring that jealousy, it now graduates to something else. And when it graduates, I'm telling you, jealousy graduates to witchcraft. That's the truth. If you don't curtail it, jealousy, bitterness graduates to witchcraft. So this is something that sometimes when we talk about witchcraft, you just imagine that, oh, somebody is flying somewhere here and there. No, those things they exist. Let's not deceive ourselves. I'm not saying that people don't have demonic spirits and they don't display it in different ways. They could astral project, they could go for meetings, they could do so many stuff. I know that exists. But do you know that there's a kind of witchcraft that you harbor? You will not even know that you are a witch. You'll be doing some malicious and wicked things. Remember, there's a story that a lady talked about. I don't know, a lady that came from America and found out that her father was being treated very badly by his sister. He came from America, but I think the man now had dementia, and now had to they took him to the village, and at the end of the day, they were maltreating him, treating him less than an animal. So sometimes we should be very careful when we are wicked. It's a kind of witchcraft. Or when we are jealous, or when we are bitter. I don't know why I'm putting out this video. I didn't mean to do. I just said I would give this channel a rest for a while, but I just felt like I should come and talk about it. If you are harboring something in your heart, you may be a witch. Actually, I may be smiling, but it's true. So if you're harboring bitterness, you are malicious towards somebody for no reason, or you just find yourself being wicked. Maybe you are somebody, your nephew or niece is staying with you, or someone needs help and comes to you for help and has to stay with you, and you're now being mean and nasty to the person. Please check yourself. That may be witchcraft. What do you think about what I just said? Well, if you have any opinion about it, let's continue the conversation in the comments. So till I see you in the next video, take care and think about what I said.